All right. Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday. Woo, a lot to go through. I want to update everybody on the site, on the progress, the addition of Jack, and I will do that in a minute. But the reason I really wanted to record this morning is because I wanted to offer my opinion on this Jontay Porter betting scandal and what I think about it, how it's relevant to us, gambling in general. And if you're interested, I'm going to go for about 10 to 15 minutes. I'm going to start really from the beginning, just in case you guys aren't super familiar. And yeah, so here we go. Jontay Porter, brother of Michael Porter. Michael Porter, one of the best players in the NBA, top 25, 30 players on the Nuggets. Won a championship last year, makes over $100 million. So that'll be relevant here in a few minutes. So Jontay is his brother. And just to kind of recap his career, he never made it. Injuries, G League, never made it. Young guy, maybe he's got a chance to make it. Finally gets called up. He's in the Raptors organization in January. So his NBA career starts in January of this year. So what is the scandal? The scandal is three different things he's accused of. And the reason I want to talk about it now is because the NBA released a statement 2 days ago banning him for life. No more Jontay Porter. The NBA would like to tell you this is what happened. We've investigated it and it's over. Let's just move on. And I'm like, there's a 0% chance. There's a 0% chance that this is the end of the story. It just is because it just does not make any sense. So let me go through it. First, what the NBA said, and then why it doesn't make any sense. So the NBA accused Jontay Porter of three separate things. Two of them I think will grab the headlines. And one of them, for whatever reason, guys that I like to listen to just haven't harped on it. So here we go. One guy brought to my attention, and that's where I wanted to focus. So the three things that he was accused of. The first is he told a known NBA bettor, right? I guess he conspired or gave information to a known NBA bettor on a particular game, March 26th, where there was props involved, where that known bettor, not Jontay himself, but bet an $80,000 parlay on under props revolving around Jontay Porter, that he would have a bad performance, wouldn't make any shots, whatever, no rebounds, whatever the details of it are, all unders, and the $80,000 paid out 1.1 million. Now, the first question is, how was the guy able to even make that bet? And so the answer is, if you're a VIP bettor, meaning you're one of those guys that just bets a lot of money all the time, they'll make different rules for you. I don't know how many people listening have wagered a lot of money in their lives, but man, casinos will bend over backwards to give you what you want if you're going to keep betting and gambling. So the bet was taken, but the bet was then frozen, meaning it was flagged. So the way gambling works and why it's really hard to have these scandals for average person is because bets get flagged. So if things don't make sense, the sports books are going to flag them, and the NBA is like, oh, this is great news. Bet was flagged. We've got rid of Jontay Porter. Awesome. All right, so that's the first thing. Jontay Porter, whoever that known NBA bettor, is so dumb, according to the NBA, that he didn't think that bet would get flagged. So that's the first bullshit they want you to believe. And the second thing is, he bet on 13 games involving the NBA, 13 different bets involving the NBA from January to March. So over a 2-month span, 13 bets totaling $76,000 and change, and he won 22 grand. So he risked a total of 76, came out on the right side of 22 grand with bets ranging from $15 to $22,000. It just makes no sense. Like, if I said that all over again, you'd be like, that sounds like a moron, right? Like, it sounds like the dumbest person. That's what the NBA would like you to believe. Okay. Now, the third thing they accuse him of is they get out ahead of something that was not in the headlines. And again, a lot of NBA reporters just not touch this. I don't know if they will today, tomorrow, next week, but they just haven't touched this part. But there was one guy I like to follow, and he touched on it. And I was like, wow, he is 100% right. And that's the NBA said that in one of those 13 bets that he made was a three-team parlay. A three-team parlay that and one of the bets in there, he's on the Raptors, that the Raptors would lose. So he bet on the Raptors to lose, his own team. didn't play in the game, but he bet on his own team to lose. But the NBA would like to assure you that it backfired on him and the Raptors won that game. So his bet lost. End of story. So just to recap, he had a buddy of his, somebody who knows, make an $80,000 bet on his unders. Didn't think that was going to get flagged. Okay, but then he's only risking a total of $76,000 over a course of 13 games himself, betting $15 for some reason on a game. Okay, but don't worry, he only made one bet against the Raptors to lose, and the Raptors won. All right, so end of story. Well, not so fast. Let's see. So, story comes out from Action Network, and Action Network is one of those companies where I like 90% of what they do. And that's the case for a lot of these sports betting companies, but they fall into the bullshit of tracking money and bets and percentages and things that people go there for that I just find to be incredibly misleading. I don't know if they are doing it for nefarious purposes. Probably not. They're probably just doing it for content and clicks, and they know people, want to know or want to at least think they know where the money's going, so it feeds into it. Anyway, but Action Network does a great job of covering everything. So you can go there and see odds, and they have a handful of reporters that I'll read from time to time. So anyway, somebody at the Action Network, their source, they come out and they're like, okay, we're going to release this information very innocently, very like, again, the mainstream hasn't just touched on it in a way that you would think they would. So this is what they released. They said that Jontay Porter, when he lived in Colorado, a combination of he went to school out in Missouri, and then his brother lives in Colorado, so I think I forget exactly why he was living there, if the G League team. Anyway, long story short is he was a VIP bettor in Colorado. He had a Colorado account, wasn't living there necessarily full time, but from 2021 to 2023, according to the source at the Action Network, he was a VIP bettor. I forget if it was FanDuel or DraftKings, but one of the major sports books. Jontay Porter, real name, his account, legal, was betting millions of dollars, according to this report, firing all the time, all kinds of bets. So, the reason why that is, if you believe that, which, look, I can't say I 100% believe it, but it was pretty well sourced. I don't know what they get out of just making that up and angering the NBA, because the NBA won't touch it. The NBA is like, yeah, we don't care. We only want to talk about when he was a part of the NBA and what bets he made. And by the way, he's gone. We'll never see him again. Just end of story. But it's like, wait a second. If he's got a gambling problem, I shouldn't say gambling problem, but gambling, who knows? Gambling problem, gambling for entertainment, whatever exactly is going on over there. But millions of dollars are being wagered over a 2-year period. Not to mention the fact that he doesn't have millions of dollars, and his brother is an NBA player, and that's where his brother lives, is in Colorado. And it's like, wait a second, we can have a we can have a Jontay Porter scandal if you're the NBA, but we cannot have a Michael Porter scandal. Like, there's no way. He's one of the best. I mean, you do your own rankings here, 25, 30 at worst players in the NBA. Like, he is a bona fide star. He's on a championship team. He's going to be on our television here, assuming the Nuggets make a run for the next 2 months. We are not having a Michael Porter scandal. We are just not doing that. No way, no how. Jontay Porter scandal, sure. But the Michael Porter scandal, and I'm not accusing Michael Porter. I'm just saying it doesn't make any sense that the NBA would go out of its way to release a statement. And we see this all the time, with our governments, whether it's our government or other countries' governments or big banks, or pick a big corporation when a scandal happens and that press release comes out and the statement, 99 times out of 100, the statement is like, all right, we're going to address it. Can we please just drop it? And in some cases, curious minds like myself will just drop it. It's like, you know what? I believe it. It is what it is. There's nothing else here. This NBA statement, it was wild to me. It was like, all right, so he bet one time, only once, but not for that much money in the scheme of things, against his team to lose. We're just going to throw that in there. Do they do that because they know more information is going to come out and they just hope the scandal goes away because it's Jontay Porter? I don't know. But besides just blabbing about it, the reason why I wanted to talk about it this morning is, look, we are, as consumers, it's the best time to be a sports bettor, but you have to be careful. That's why the rebrand will center around education and coaching, addiction, and right healthy ways to do it. But I don't want to, bury the lead here. It is the best time to bet on sports. It just is. There's so much information. So one of the rules that you have to make is what you're not going to bet on, because if you're not willing to do that, you'll bet on anything and everything all the time, and it's just, you have to have some rules. And the first one is, all right, what am I actually betting on? And the first thing is no NBA regular season for me. The Tim Donaghy scandal from 15, 20 years ago. I don't know how many people are familiar with that. That was the referee who actually went to jail for fixing games, and they made the whole thing sound like it was just him. This reminds me of the Tim Donaghy scandal, where it's like, yeah, Jontay Porter is probably guilty of certain things, but there's no way there's not other players doing things with all the prop bets. And unless you have the inside information, which is great, and if you do and you're subscribing and listen, the least you can do is share it with me. And in all seriousness, you're not going to be able to. You're just guessing. You don't know what's going on, and there's a lot of money to be made. There's a lot of things that are going to happen. So we have to be vigilant sports bettors and figure out what we should be betting on. And to me, the NBA, that's what I took away from this. Is like, man, I don't even know about the NBA playoffs. Speaking of which, I love Sacramento tonight. We'll see if I feel that way in a few hours. But um, I'll be guilty of being like, yeah, I like this game. I like this game because I love basketball. But this Jontay Porter scandal makes me feel like something bigger is going on, and it's a reflection on why I don't like betting on the NBA versus maybe some other sports where it would be more transparent. You can't hide it. And baseball comes to mind. If somebody's purposely having a bad at bat in baseball, I don't think that's a possibility to do and like not set off red flags. You can get injuries. You're throwing it, or if a pitcher's purposely throwing the ball, out of the strike zone. I could see baseball players betting on themselves. I think that's a natural, if you want to call that a scandal. I think that's human nature. Gambling's legal. Players have confidence. I could see those things coming out in baseball, but I would be surprised if you have like a Jontay Porter situation where guys are faking injuries and coming out of games because it's not impossible. Sure, it's not, as I'm saying it out loud and playing devil's advocate in my head, but just feels like baseball's integrity is, I guess, I don't know what the right word is, but it's under a microscope, individual players. It feels like it'd be really hard to purposely screw up at high level baseball so anyway, I feel that my main takeaway, and I think I've said this, I guess it was right after Connecticut beat Purdue that Tuesday. I was like, man, what am I going to do moving forward? And that's how I'll transition this conversation. Like with the website, with the rebrand, running the business that's one thing I have to do. But then the second thing is like, what am I personally going to bet on and contribute to the company? What can I do? And because the basketball started off losing, which whatever, it was frustrating that as soon as I started doing the college basketball tournaments and the one Thunder game, it's like, all right, so what exactly is my focus and why did that happen? Because I think if I would have won those bets, I probably just would have kept cruising with the NBA and been like, you know what, I'll just fill in here until I bring people on board and I'll do games. But they didn't win, and it made me think, even the Connecticut game, I guess what happened that night going into Tuesday morning is I was dead right about Connecticut, felt so good about myself, and I'm like, I missed every prop. That stupid little point guard from Purdue gets an assist at the end. Connecticut's big man Klingon is in foul trouble, and what's his face? Alec, I'm forgetting his name. Like the wing player. Great, I'll remember it as soon as I'm finished recording. The wing player on Connecticut, him to go over his 12 points, and he didn't. So I was like, I forced bets. I know I did because I loved Connecticut and I just didn't want to put Connecticut, right? And instead, by the time I'm finished, it's like I'm 500. And I was like, well, what can I do? What can I be a quote unquote expert in? And my record right now with the Orioles is I'm the first one to say there's no way I'm going to go 70%. Like being 21-9 right now, since I've done the Orioles bets, if I end up going 70%, that will be it. Literally, there's just no way. Like I am hoping to go 60%. That's my goal. 70% feels like a real those are the types of things that people pretend that they're doing in order to get you to subscribe and buy picks. And when you're winning, it's always nice to be like, yeah, I'm 10-1 in my last 11 games. Like, but that's used to eventually sell you something. Whereas what I'm trying to do is not have any upsells. So as I rebrand the company, and that's why Jack's on board, I don't want the price to change. I don't want something where Jack releases these picks and blah 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 blah. You can pay extra for that. I brought a gentleman on when we first started football season, and that was his premise. And I don't want to do that. I don't. Frankly, that's how we started this company when we first started. Like I said, a couple weeks ago, it was $600. It was $599 for 25 plays with a 60% guarantee. And 60% is really hard, like super duper hard. And when you put that pressure of spending $600 for it and then you're betting accordingly, you're going to lose a lot of money if we don't hit that 60%. So, as much as I want to brag and say how great I'm doing, the last thing I want is somebody blindly following me. I'm like, take what I'm saying. Hopefully, it sparks some ideas, makes you think, and I'm on the right side of it more than I'm not. But yeah, some things I've been really correct about when it comes to the Orioles, which is deciding whether or not to go with strikeouts or outs recorded or whatever bets I'm going with. I feel good about that. But then there's others like the Mullins home run, where it was very close to being 0-3 and goes to 3-0. So if Mountcastle doesn't get a hit in the ninth inning, and Mullins just whatever Santander's in there, we just find a way to lose that game 3-2. It goes from a 3-0 night to an 0-3. So I felt good about it, but at the same time, and same thing when Jack comes on. So Jack, most likely today, we're not going to discuss it the same, with my previous partner, same with Ben. Like I'm not into collaborating on the picks. That's just not what this is about. Jack will have his picks. So I really won't know until you guys know. He'll send me the message. I imagine he'll have some games tonight just because it's a full slate of baseball and we have the two NBA games. And let's see, what else? I told him, the same thing. I want the picks the latest to be an hour before the first game starts, give everybody a chance. But that is why we do it on Telegram instead of the email. Sometimes emails they're slower. So I'm very happy with Telegram. Hopefully everybody is. If you're not, for whatever reason, send me a message and we can try to figure out an alternative. But yeah, let's see what else. I don't want to rush the last couple of people that I'm going to be adding. It's very important that once I launch the rebrand, that I don't have to relaunch it and do part 3. And I guess being honest with everybody that's listening, 90% of the business is made during football season from August through the Super Bowl, as far as customers and people betting. So I don't feel a tremendous amount of pressure to bring people on for picks before we get to football season. If it's the right person and it makes sense, like I feel like it does with Jack, we'll bring them on. But by football season, that's why everybody gets the free access to the Telegram, as long as you're still subscribing to the site through August. As I just don't want to rush that process. And then lastly, the whole point of the website, and I don't want to get ahead of this, but it's going to be moving to education and coaching. So it'll be separate from the picks. So if you are subscribing to the website, that's going to be all focused on content such as like me talking right this second and being able to help you guys just navigate certain things through sports betting. And if you want the picks, the content will come with it. So if you're like, hey, I don't know if I really want the content or I'll listen to it sometimes, you'll subscribe to get the picks and then you'll always have access to the site. But the whole point of me doing it is to open this up to a new clientele where they might really not want the picks, where they're just getting into sports betting or they just want coaching or educating. So the website will be redesigned to market to those people. Say, hey, if you don't want picks, you pay less money per month and you focus on something different. That's what the rebrand is all about. It's not going to say there's no more picks. The picks will always be there. And that's why I want to have, 4 to 5 people giving out their picks, their explanation. Hopefully, they're all likable and they're winning more than they're losing, and you guys can, benefit from having them on there. Then the second part of the company is really where I want to grow the company because anybody can give out picks. Like to be fair, um, that's competing with gazillions of people, and people give out picks for free and whatever. My company, what I want the focus to be on is the coaching and the education part, and it might not be for everybody. So if that's not for you, if you're a little bit older, you feel like I don't want to hear Ryan talk anymore, that's fine. You like the picks, that's great. So anyway, I just want to keep everybody updated. I will put this out. It's early. Guess it's about 8:30. The Orioles. Oh yeah, let me wrap that up with. If I like anything with the NBA series, I'm going to do a preview of the NBA tomorrow morning. If I like anything, I'll certainly post it. Leaning strongly towards the Kings. I'm going to dive into that, and if I like the Kings enough, then I'll type it up and say so. And then the Orioles. So I will not just be blindly betting Orioles money line all these games. Like that's not the route. But right this second, since I've started doing it, we've had great value. We're going to get great value this weekend. Now the question is, are we going to win these games? So I don't know. I was really impressed with the Royals when they came here. I haven't really paid too much attention over the past week, besides seeing their box scores here and there. So I got a lot of work to do. See what we think. See what the Orioles' plan is. The bullpen is well rested, so that makes me feel good. But just as a reminder, I will never have an Oriole bet unless until the lineup comes out. So I got burned on it on the one day when I was like, I still don't know why Adley didn't catch that day, but whatever, because they wanted who knows, give him some extra rest to start the year. But I made the bet with Kramer. Ironically, he's pitching tonight, and I did it before I saw the lineup. So I can't do that anymore because I'm all about the lineup. I'm all about the vibe, especially the Orioles, following it so much that there's certain lineups. I know people listening probably feel the same way. You look at it and you're like, I don't know. I don't feel great about that lineup. So, all right, I think that's about it. I will see you guys tomorrow. Picks will be out later this afternoon, and hope everybody has a great day.